Rain pounded against the garage roof, a relentless drumbeat that echoed the tension in Liam's chest. He wiped his greasy hands on a faded blue rag, glancing at the clock. The night shift was supposed to end in 10 minutes, but a muffled sound outside snagged his attention. The sharp screech of tires on wet pavement broke through the storm, followed by the unmistakable sputter of an engine choking on its final breaths. A flash of headlights illuminated the garage's cluttered interior, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Liam pushed through the door, stepping into the downpour, where a small battered sedan had come to a halt. Behind the wheel sat a young woman, her hands gripping the steering wheel as if it were a lifeline. Even through the rain-soaked glass, he could see her wide eyes filled with panic. "Hey!" he shouted, leaning against the car. "You all right?" She shook her head, her voice barely audible over the rain. "I think my car, it just died." Liam's heart sank. The last thing he wanted was to turn her away, but the garage was already stretched thin, and Mitch had made it clear, no free repairs. He took a deep breath, fighting the urge to retreat into the safety of rules and regulations. "Let me take a look." Elise stepped out into the storm, her hair plastered to her face. "I don't have any money," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I just moved here, and I'm really low on cash." He could feel the weight of her desperation pulling at him, the kind of weight he'd seen too many times before. "Don't worry about it," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "I'll see what I can do." As he knelt beside her car, the storm intensified, drenching him to the bone. The engine's hood creaked open, revealing a tangled mess of wires and components. Each second he spent here felt like a gamble, risking his job for a stranger. But then he caught a glimpse of Elise's face, the flicker of hope in her eyes as she watched him work. That spark ignited something deep within him. Liam's hands moved deftly, coaxing life back into the engine. With each twist of the wrench, he drowned out the voice of reason that warned him of Mitch's wrath. It was just a car after all, but for Elise, it could mean the difference between hope and despair. The engine roared to life, and Elise's face broke into a radiant smile. "You did it!" she exclaimed, laughter spilling from her lips like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I did," Liam replied, a swell of pride lifting his spirits. "Just be safe out there, okay?" As she climbed back into her car, gratitude shining in her eyes, he felt a sense of fulfillment that pushed aside the gnawing fear of what Mitch would say. But that satisfaction was fleeting. The harsh reality would come crashing down soon enough. And it did. The following morning, Mitch stormed into the garage, his face a mask of fury. "What the hell did you think you were doing, Carter?" Liam's heart raced as Mitch's accusations fell like heavy stones around him. The joy of the night before slipped through his fingers, leaving only humiliation in its wake. "Fired," Mitch spat, and just like that, the world he'd known unraveled. Before we dive deeper into this journey of kindness and unexpected consequences, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us and helps share stories like Liam's with more people. So please, subscribe now. Liam Carter stood in the quiet aftermath of his firing, the memories of his last night at the garage swirling in his mind like the rain that continued to pelt against the windows. He had woken up early, the gray light of dawn filtering through his thin curtains, and the weight of it all felt heavier than ever. The garage door creaked as he pushed it open, but the familiar smell of motor oil and gasoline that once brought him comfort was now a bitter reminder of loss. He stepped outside, the cool air biting at his skin, and surveyed the street. Detroit had always been a city of contradictions, gritty yet resilient, where the remnants of industry stood shoulder to shoulder with signs of renewal. Liam had always felt a connection to that struggle, but now it felt like an echo of his own failure. His phone buzzed in his pocket, and he pulled it out, glancing at the screen. A text from his sister, Jenna. "You okay? Let me know if you need anything." He sighed, knowing she meant well. He didn't want to burden her with his woes, especially not when she was trying to get her own life on track. He typed back a quick "I'm fine," and slipped the phone away, feeling the weight of isolation settle in. As the day dragged on, he wandered the streets aimlessly, passing by familiar places that felt foreign now. The corner diner where he used to grab coffee with Mitch after the morning shift, the park where he'd spent afternoons tinkering with old motorcycle engines, even the local hardware store that had always greeted him with a friendly smile. Each step echoed with the sting of rejection, and the uncertainty of his future loomed over him like dark clouds. Hours later, he found himself standing in front of a small community center, where a sign declared they were offering free workshops for job seekers. A flicker of hope ignited in his chest, but doubt quickly snuffed it out. What do I even have to offer? He mumbled to himself, kicking a small stone along the pavement. Just then, a familiar face crossed his path. It was Elise, her hair still damp from the rain, but her expression was no longer one of despair. She was deep in conversation with a tall man in a crisp suit, his posture exuding authority. Liam froze, his heart racing. The last time he'd seen her, she had been desperate and vulnerable. Now she appeared confident, gesturing animatedly as the man listened intently. As they drew closer, Elise caught Liam's eye and her face lit up. "Liam, I'm so glad to see you." She rushed over, and the man followed, his curiosity piqued. "Hey, good to see you too," Liam stammered, remembering the warmth of her gratitude from that stormy night. "This is my father, Robert Miller," Elise introduced, a hint of pride in her voice. "He's the CEO of Miller Automotive." The words felt heavy, each syllable a weight on Liam's chest. "Nice to meet you," Liam said, extending a hand, his mind racing to process the implications. "Likewise," Robert replied, his grip firm. "Elise told me about your incredible kindness. I don't know many who would go out of their way like that." Liam felt heat rise to his cheeks. "I just did what anyone would do. It wasn't a big deal." "Oh, it was," Elise insisted. "You helped me when I felt completely lost. You didn't even know me." Robert observed him closely, and Liam shifted uncomfortably under the scrutiny. "We're always looking for people who have a strong moral compass at Miller Automotive," Robert said thoughtfully. "I'd like to offer you an opportunity to come work for us." The offer hung in the air, surreal and overwhelming. His mind raced back to Mitch's accusations, the fury in his eyes, and the humiliation of walking away without a backward glance. I'm not sure," Liam stuttered, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders again. "I've never worked in a corporate environment." "You'd be surprised how much we value practical experience," Robert said, his tone earnest. "And we need someone who understands the heart of the community." Liam's heart thudded. The community, the very people who had once filled his days with purpose. Could he really step into a world so different from the garage? Elise's encouraging smile urged him forward, and he felt a swell of courage. "Let me think about it," he finally said, hope flickering in his chest like the first light of dawn. As they parted ways, a new sense of determination ignited within him. Perhaps this was more than just an offer. It was a chance to turn his values into action. And in that moment, he realized that his act of kindness had set a chain of events in motion that could lead him down a path far greater than he ever imagined. The future felt uncertain yet exhilarating, a promise of redemption waiting just beyond the horizon. The rain had finally stopped, leaving behind a slick sheen on the streets that glistened under the orange glow of the streetlights. Liam wandered through the now quiet neighborhood, his mind still reeling from the unexpected encounter with Elise and her father. The weight of the offer hung in the air, heavy and intoxicating, yet a voice inside him whispered caution, reminding him of the stark difference between his humble garage and the polished world of corporate automotive giants. He stopped in front of a small diner, the same place where he and Mitch had shared countless cups of coffee, discussing everything from engine repairs to the latest neighborhood gossip. The place felt like a relic now, a monument to simpler times. As he stood there, he could almost hear Mitch's gruff voice, barking orders and admonitions, the way he had when Liam first started working at the garage. That voice had always been laced with a passion for the business, but it was also tinged with an unyielding focus on profit. Liam had admired Mitch's work ethic, but had often found himself at odds with his boss's cold pragmatism. But was it really so black and white? Mitch was a product of the very world Liam was now contemplating entering, a world where decisions were made not just in the name of survival, but often with the cold calculation of corporate greed. "Hey, Liam." A familiar voice called out, shaking him from his reverie. It was Jenna, rushing toward him, her breath visible in the cool night air. "You took off without telling me where you were going. Mom's worried sick." "Sorry, I just needed some air," he replied, forcing a smile. His sister always seemed to see through his facade, but he didn't want to burden her with his conflicted thoughts. "Did something happen at the garage?" she asked, concern etched on her face. He hesitated, then recounted the night's events, the thrill of helping Elise, the crushing blow of being fired. As he spoke, he noticed the way Jenna's eyes widened, processing the implications of his kindness. "So this Elise, she's the daughter of an automotive CEO?" Jenna asked, her brow furrowed with intrigue. Yeah, apparently, Liam said, still grappling with the reality of it all. I mean, I didn't know at the time. I was just trying to help. But what if this leads to something bigger? Jenna's eyes sparkled with possibility. You could be working for a major company, Liam. This could change everything. It could also mean I'm just another cog in a machine, he replied, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. I don't want to lose the parts of me that matter, like helping people, making a difference. But that's exactly what they need, isn't it? Jenna pressed. You could be the voice in that machine, the one who reminds them of what really matters. You'd be in a position to influence change. Her words struck a chord deep within him. What if he could do more than just fix cars? What if he could create a program that offered free repairs to those in need, just like he had with Elise? Liam felt a rush of excitement at the thought, but it was quickly tempered by doubt. What if he failed? What if he didn't fit in? I don't know, Jenna. I'm just a mechanic, he said, his voice wavering. What do I know about running a program or influencing a company? You know more than you think, she encouraged. You've seen the impact of your kindness. You've felt it in your bones. Trust that part of yourself. As they spoke, something clicked in Liam's mind, a revelation that transformed his understanding of the opportunity before him. It wasn't just about him, it was about something larger. He could channel his passion for helping others into a mission that could resonate throughout the community. Maybe I could, he said, a newfound determination igniting within him. Maybe I could turn this job into a chance to help others like Elise. But what if Mitch finds out? Then you show him, Jenna said firmly. Show him how kindness can be profitable too. You have a chance to change not just your life, but the lives of others. You can't let fear hold you back. With those words, the stakes rose, and Liam felt the thrill of possibility surge through him. This wasn't just about a new job, it was a chance to redefine his purpose, to bridge the gap between the ruthless corporate world and the compassionate heart of the community he'd always cherished. As they stood there under the flickering diner lights, he made a choice. Tomorrow, he would reach out to Robert Miller. Tomorrow, he would step into a new chapter, not just as an employee but as an advocate for kindness in an industry that desperately needed it. And in that moment, as the night enveloped them, Liam realized that this was not just a turning point, it was the beginning of something profound, an opportunity to transform not just his life, but the lives of countless others along the way. The following morning, Liam awoke with a jolt, the sunlight filtering through the thin curtains of his living room. The day felt charged, electric with possibility. He had made a choice the night before. Today, he would reach out to Robert Miller, the CEO of Miller Automotive, and express his interest in the job. But as he prepared himself for the day, doubt crept in, twisting in his gut like a vine around a tree trunk. What if they saw through him? What if he didn't belong in their world? He shook off the thoughts, reminding himself of his conversation with Jenna. He had to seize this chance before it slipped away, before the weight of regret crushed him. As he made coffee, he noticed the clock ticking steadily, each second a reminder that time was not on his side. He needed to act quickly before the opportunity faded like morning mist. After a quick shower, he grabbed his phone and stared at it for far too long, his heart racing. The screen glowed with Robert's contact information, the weight of it palpable. Just as he was about to dial, a notification popped up, a message from Jenna. Have you heard from Mom? She's worried about you. Liam's heart sank. His mother had been supportive throughout his struggles, but he didn't want to drag her into his problems. I'm fine. Just busy, he typed back. But the words felt hollow, and he knew that his silence wouldn't shield her from worry for long. Taking a deep breath, he finally tapped the call button. It rang once, twice, and then Robert's smooth voice came through. Hello, Liam. I was hoping to hear from you. Mr. Miller, Liam stumbled over his words, heart pounding. I want to talk about the job. Great. Let's meet at my office in an hour then, Robert replied, the enthusiasm in his tone igniting a spark of hope within Liam. I'll send you the address. After they hung up, the urgency of the situation settled in. An hour. That was all he had. He quickly dressed, pulling on a clean shirt and well-worn jeans, trying to project an image of professionalism despite the gnawing anxiety in his stomach. As he drove to the corporate office, the streets of Detroit unfurled before him, a blend of dilapidated buildings and revitalized storefronts. The city was in constant flux, much like Liam's own life. He felt the familiar pull of nostalgia as he passed the garage, now just a memory of rejection. Pulling into the sleek parking lot of Miller Automotive's headquarters, he marveled at the polished exterior, the glass reflecting the blue sky above. It felt surreal, stepping into a world that seemed so far removed from his own. He parked and took a moment to gather himself, breathing deep to steady his racing heart. As he entered the building, a rush of cool air greeted him, and his senses were overwhelmed by the sterile scent of new materials and corporate ambition. He approached the receptionist, who directed him to Robert's office. With every step, his resolve wavered. What if he wasn't cut out for this? What if he failed? But the thought of Elise's grateful smile and the realization of his potential pushed him forward. "Liam, glad you made it." Robert greeted him, standing up from behind his desk with an infectious smile. "I'm excited to chat about your ideas." Liam nodded, a lump forming in his throat. "Thank you for meeting with me. I've been thinking about what you said, about the community and how I can contribute." Robert's eyes sparkled with interest. "Good. We need fresh ideas. How do you envision your role here?" "I'd like to start a program that provides free car repairs for those in need," Liam blurted out, the words tumbling from his mouth before he could second-guess himself. "I want to help people like Elise, who are struggling. It could build goodwill and create a positive image for the company." Robert leaned back, considering. "That's ambitious. But it could also cost the company. You realize that, right?" Liam felt the weight of the moment press down on him. "Yes, but I believe it can also bring in more customers. People remember who helps them in tough times. They'll come back to us when they can afford it." Robert's expression shifted, a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. "You'd need a solid plan, and it would take time to establish." Time. The word echoed ominously in Liam's mind. What if Mitch's garage, battered by the fallout from his firing, started to recover? What if word of Liam's initiative spread too slowly? The stakes were rising, and he could feel the pressure mounting. "I'm willing to work hard on it," Liam said, desperation creeping into his voice. "I just need a chance." Robert studied him for a long moment, and Liam's heart raced. Would he get this opportunity, or would it slip away like so many others? Just then, a commotion echoed from the hallway outside. The door swung open, and a group of executives shuffled in, their voices urgent and clipped. "The press is on the line. They found out about the garage's struggles after the firing," one of them said. Liam's pulse quickened. Mitch's garage was in jeopardy, and the very man who had cast him aside now faced the fallout of his choices. Suddenly, Liam's own stakes felt even higher. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away. He needed to act now, not just for himself, but for the community he had always fought to uplift. "If you give me a chance, I'll make it work," he insisted, urgency threading through his words. "I'll help this company build something that truly matters." Robert nodded slowly, the wheels turning in his head. "All right, Liam. Let's see what you can do. I'll support your initiative, but you'll have to prove its worth." Liam felt a rush of triumph, but it was quickly tempered by the realization of what he had just agreed to. He was stepping into a world of corporate scrutiny, where every decision would matter. As he left Robert's office, the weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders. The clock was ticking, and he had to make it work, not just for himself, but for those who had no voice. The stakes had never been higher, and the path ahead was fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long while, he felt ready to embrace the fight. Liam took a deep breath, the determination swelling within him like a tide. He would not just survive, he would thrive. And he would make sure that kindness, and the spirit of community, would have a place in this new world he was stepping into. Liam stood on the precipice of a new chapter, the weight of his decision pressing down on him like the humid Detroit air. He had just left Robert Miller's office, the CEO's words echoing in his mind, "I'll support your initiative, but you'll have to prove its worth." The stakes were higher than ever, and the clock was ticking. If he wanted to turn this chance into something real, he had to act fast. The days ahead felt like a blur, filled with planning meetings and late-night brainstorming sessions. Each morning he woke up with resolve, fueled by the memory of Elise's grateful smile and the faces of countless others who had been in desperate need. He began outlining a framework for the free repair program, envisioning how it would not only benefit the community but also forge a new identity for Miller Automotive, one rooted in compassion. But as he delved deeper into the logistics, doubts crept in. The corporate machine was vast and often unforgiving. He could feel the weight of Mitch's garage, its struggles looming over him like a specter. Rumors of its decline reached him through whispers in the industry, and he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. "Liam, we need to finalize your proposal by the end of the week," Robert reminded him during one of their meetings, his tone a mix of encouragement and urgency. "The board will want to see results, and we need to get the press on board too. This could be our moment to turn things around." With the deadline looming, Liam threw himself into the work, but every step forward felt like treading water against a tide of pressure. The corporate culture was a maze of red tape, and the further he ventured, the more he realized how many hurdles he'd need to clear to get the program off the ground. Each meeting with the board felt like a trial, their skepticism palpable as they poked holes in his plans, questioning the sustainability of his vision. Then came the day of the big pitch. The boardroom felt suffocating, the sharp scent of polished wood and stale coffee overwhelming. As he stood in front of the panel of executives, the weight of expectation bore down on him. This was his chance to change everything, not only for himself but for the community he had always cared about. "Gentlemen, thank you for your time," he began, his voice steady despite the chaos in his mind. "I've seen firsthand the impact that a little kindness can have. We have the opportunity to not only repair cars but also rebuild lives. Imagine a program where those in need can come to us for help. Not only would it create loyalty and trust, but it could also set us apart from competitors." He watched as their expressions shifted from skepticism to intrigue, a flicker of interest igniting in their eyes. But before he could build on the momentum, a familiar voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Liam, I don't think you understand the financial implications of this," Mitch interjected, having entered the room unexpectedly. His presence was a jarring reminder of the past, of the man who had dismissed Liam's values in favor of cold hard cash. "Offering free repairs will only drain our resources. This isn't a charity, it's a business." The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. Liam's heart raced, uncertainty flooding his mind. He could feel the walls closing in, and all the hard work he'd put in threatened to unravel. But as he looked into Mitch's eyes, something shifted inside him. "This isn't just about business, Mitch," Liam replied, an unexpected fire igniting in his chest. "It's about people. We're in an industry that has the power to connect us with our community. I refuse to let profit margins dictate the kind of company we are. We can be better." The board members shifted in their seats, surprise and admiration flickering across their faces. Liam's pulse quickened. This was the moment he needed to seize, to show them that his vision was not just a dream but a necessity. "I understand your concerns," he continued, his voice gaining strength. "But what if we run a pilot program? We can measure its impact and adjust as needed. If it fails, then I'll take full responsibility. But if it succeeds, we'll not only change lives but also redefine Miller Automotive's legacy." The room buzzed with energy, the tension shifting as the executives murmured among themselves. Mitch's expression hardened, but Liam stood firm, resolute in his belief that compassion had a rightful place in the business world. As the discussions continued, Liam felt an urgency clawing at him. The moment hung in the balance, and he knew this was not just about the program. It was about his chance to prove that kindness could drive success. With each passing minute, he felt the sands of time slipping away, the pressing need to turn the tide on Mitch's garage and show the world what was possible. In that pivotal moment, everything hinged on his ability to inspire change, to stand as a testament against the corporate coldness that had once defined him. The stakes had never been higher, and the countdown to transformation had begun. The boardroom felt like a pressure cooker, the tension thickening with every passing second as Liam stood before the panel of executives, his heart pounding in his chest. Mitch's unexpected arrival sent shockwaves through the room, and Liam could feel the eyes of the board members shifting between them, gauging the tension like a tightrope walker suspended above a chasm. "Liam, I don't think you understand the financial implications of this," Mitch said, his voice slicing through the air like a blade. "Offering free repairs will only drain our resources. This isn't a charity, it's a business." Liam's scoot twisted. The man who had once been his boss now seemed like an obstacle, a barrier between him and the chance to make a real difference. But instead of shrinking back, something ignited within him, a fierce determination to stand his ground. "Mitch," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. We have an opportunity to connect with our community, to be more than just a repair shop. We can be a beacon of hope for those who need it the most." Mitch's brow furrowed, the skepticism palpable in the air. "And what happens when the repairs start piling up? What about our bottom line? Liam took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on his shoulders. What if we run a pilot program? A limited initiative to test the waters? If it fails, I'll take full responsibility. But if it succeeds, we could redefine what it means to be a part of this community. Silence enveloped the room, the board members exchanging glances, weighing the implications of Liam's words. He sensed their hesitation, the flicker of doubt in their eyes. But Mitch's expression hardened, a wall of resistance that Liam knew he had to break through. Liam, this isn't just about you, Mitch said, his voice low and dangerous. You're risking not just your future, but the company's. We can't afford to make emotional decisions. And what about the people? Liam fired back, his frustration boiling over. What about those who can't afford repairs? Are we really willing to turn our backs on them because of fear? Because it's easier? The board members shifted again, and Liam could see the gears turning in their minds. He felt a pang of guilt, the realization that he was pitting himself against Mitch, the man who had once mentored him. But he also felt the stakes rising, the urgency of the moment pressing him forward. If we do nothing, we're complicit in the very systems that keep people down, Liam continued, his voice rising with passion. I refuse to be part of a company that prioritizes profit over people. If that's the cost of my job, then I'm willing to pay it. The silence that followed felt heavy, charged with the weight of his declaration. Liam could feel his heart racing, the fear of losing everything pushing him to the brink. But as he glanced at the board members, he saw a flicker of admiration in their eyes. It was a small spark, but it was enough to give him hope. Mitch's gaze was steely, a battle of wills igniting between them. You think you can just waltz in here and change everything? You're naive, Liam. This is business. You can't let emotions cloud your judgment. Maybe you're right, Liam said, his voice steady, but I'd rather be naive and try to make a difference than be a part of a machine that grinds people down for the sake of profit. The tension in the room escalated, and he could feel the turning point approaching. The board members leaned in, their eyes locked on Liam, waiting for Mitch's response. Fine, Mitch said finally, his voice laced with irritation. Run your pilot program. But if it fails, it's on you, not the company. Liam felt a rush of relief wash over him, but it was tempered by the weight of Mitch's words. He had just stepped into a new world, and it came with consequences. Thank you, he replied, the gratitude in his voice genuine. I won't let you down. As he left the boardroom, adrenaline coursing through his veins, he realized that the stakes had never been higher. He had risked not only his job but the chance to redefine his purpose. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but the opportunity to create real change was now within his grasp. The impact of his decision would resonate far beyond the walls of Miller Automotive. It was a chance to lift others up, to show that kindness and community could thrive even in the toughest of environments. But as he stepped into the bustling hallway, the reality of his sacrifice settled in. He could feel the weight of Mitch's disapproval lingering, a reminder that not everyone would understand his choices. Yet the fire of determination burned brightly within him, illuminating the path forward, a journey of transformation, both for himself and for the community he had always cherished. Liam stood in the bustling hallway of Miller Automotive, the weight of his recent victory pressing down on him like the humid Detroit air. The board had approved his pilot program for free repairs, but the victory felt bittersweet. He couldn't shake the unease settling in his stomach, a nagging thought that perhaps he had overlooked something crucial in his fervor to help others. As he made his way back to his office, his mind raced with ideas for the program. Yet, the specter of Mitch lingered, a reminder of the struggle he faced. His former boss had been a tough teacher, instilling in him the importance of profit margins and efficiency, but also a relentless drive to succeed. It was that very drive that had pushed Liam to stand up for what he believed in. But now, a sense of doubt crept in. What if the program failed? What if he was wrong to think that compassion could thrive in the harsh world of corporate business? Then, as he passed by the wall of framed photographs showcasing the history of Miller Automotive, something caught his eye. A picture of a young Mitch standing proudly beside his father, the founder of the company. Their smiles radiated warmth, a stark contrast to the man Liam had come to know. In that moment, the pieces began to click together in his mind. Mitch wasn't just a businessman. He was a product of the very environment that had shaped him. The garage, the pressure to succeed, and the relentless pursuit of profit had molded him into someone who believed kindness was a liability. But what if Mitch's harsh exterior was merely a defense mechanism, a way to protect himself from the vulnerability that came with compassion? The realization hit Liam like a bolt of lightning. The reason he had felt so compelled to help Elise was not just about her struggle, it was a reflection of his own journey. He had been fighting against the very system that had once held him captive. Mitch's firing had been a catalyst, forcing Liam to confront his own values and the kind of mechanic he wanted to be, a mechanic who didn't just fix cars but repaired lives. With this newfound understanding, Liam felt a surge of hope. He could not only initiate change within the company, but also reach out to Mitch. Perhaps, through their shared experiences, he could help Mitch see that compassion wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. And so, he made a decision. Instead of viewing Mitch as an adversary, he would approach him as a partner in this journey. They could redefine Miller Automotive together, blending practicality with compassion, creating a legacy that honored the community while still thriving as a business. As the weight of this realization settled within him, Liam felt lighter, more determined than ever. The road ahead would not be easy, but he understood now, true change required understanding, courage, and the willingness to embrace vulnerability. And with that clarity, he stepped forward, ready to turn a new page, not just for himself, but for the entire community, and perhaps even for Mitch. The journey of kindness had only just begun. As Liam stood outside the Miller Automotive headquarters, the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling city of Detroit. The weight of the past few months pressed against him, but for the first time, he felt a sense of peace amidst the chaos. The pilot program for free repairs had not only garnered community support, it had sparked conversations that transcended the sterile walls of the corporate office and reached the hearts of those who had once felt invisible. He had spent countless hours alongside Mitch, revisiting the foundations of the garage they had both loved. Together, they transformed the program into a centerpiece of the company's mission, blending hard-nosed business acumen with a renewed commitment to compassion. Mitch, with his hardened exterior, had begun to soften, his understanding of the community evolving as he watched the impact of their initiative unfold. And as they stood side by side at the inaugural free repair event, witnessing grateful families drive away in cars that had once been a burden, Liam felt a swell of hope. It was more than just fixing vehicles, it was about restoring dignity, one car at a time. Mitch turned to him, the warmth in his eyes a stark contrast to the man who had once fired him. "You were right, Liam," he said, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. "This is what it means to truly succeed." Liam nodded, feeling the weight of their shared journey. "It's not just about profit anymore, Mitch. It's about leaving a legacy that matters." As the evening sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Liam felt the threads of their past and present intertwine. The journey had not been easy, but it had forged something beautiful, an understanding that compassion could coexist with ambition, that kindness could drive success just as surely as numbers on a balance sheet. Each moment echoed with the laughter of families and the rumble of engines, a symphony of hope rising against the backdrop of the city.